So this tool was based on like 15-year-old TED Talk where, it's meant to magnify, using webcam magnify, measuring heart rate and respiration and things like that. So it meant to revolutionize telehealth and stuff. Well, that didn't happen. But yeah, interestingly now there's a new use case for it. Is detecting deepfakes and things. But I mean, because it's easy for me to measure heart rate from a video, it will also be easy to add, heart rate, just tone, as the blood is pulsing through your head, the color of your skin changes. So you could add it to a deep fake as well. So it's a never-ending. That's why things like that never become a product. Really good things, really interesting things never become products, because really good ideas, they just, they're like viruses. They just spread. You cannot patent or copyright or restrict them to make money out of it, whatever. But yeah, I mean, in the same way, like I imagine, because I'm thinking like antivirus, whatever. Like you had like, but then it's not a viable business anymore because because it's just a great idea to embed this threat detections into your operating system, so on and so forth. So you don't need an extra software for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, so in the future you will have like if I'm talking to you, so part of Zoom there will be like a detector that will tell me, are you do you have it would not tell me if you're a real person or not, but it will tell me if you have like heart rate pulse, if your video has a heart rate pulse or not. But yeah, and that can be done already today. But if the problem with like turning it into a business or something, because by the time you make a business out of it, and then YouTube or Zoom introduces them into their system, built in, then your business is no more. Yeah, and it will happen. Like the paradox there, the better your business is, the more likely it's to happen. So. Well, essentially, I was working on this, like an open source project for the last 3 years. So we're doing like all the development is happening live on YouTube. So just like I used to call it vibe coding, but now I just call it pair programming with AI. Because that's what I do. I'm not a programmer myself, but I do all the testing, so on and so forth. Because in the past I was thinking about it as vibe coding because I'm not writing any code, and I still do not write any code. But I say a tool like this, I've been testing it for the last like 6 months or so. And yes, there was some problem with the frames per second in the browser, so had to like devise like a proper prompt and fix it. But yes, generic language model was able to fix the code, and now it's supposedly working better. Yeah, so I'm doing like all the testing, whatever. So you can see in my videos, like I'm doing the development, the testing, retesting, updating the code, so on and so forth. So it's an open source project, but essentially the idea for the business side of things is taking any of these tools and turning them into, so currently it's like a non-for-profit, charity based, like pay as you wish. Find it useful, you drop a donation, whatever, Patreon or YouTube itself, whatever. But essentially the general idea is, again, as I mentioned, like the biggest risk is that one of those big AI companies will just move into the space and they will, make the business obsolete. But essentially the idea is that you, for example, you take a scientific paper, and because no one can read or understand papers, well, no one has the time to read papers, and also some of them are written in such way that, that this just makes it hard to understand. So you just take a paper and turn it into a simulation, an interactive web application. But yes, it's inevitable that next thing for Gemini, OpenAI, and companies like that is that they will be doing it as well. I mean, and I'm using their products to do it, so. But yeah, so essentially I'm looking for someone who will come up with a better business model, with more sustainable business model that, will make it, more viable. the only thing I can think of is, you just keep moving. So you keep the project open source, and do it as whatever charity based. People just chip in. You just bring people along on the ride, whatever. So essentially, I'm thinking everyone will become a YouTuber/streamer in the next couple of years. There will be no programmers, no engineers, because the AI will be doing all this work for them. But essentially, like the human factor, like interacting, everyone will be like have a stand-up comedian or a YouTube streamer, whatever. So I've been kind of doing it for the last 3 years. So the only advantage you have is actually doing it and deploy. So I'm deploying. So if I was working in academia, for example, and not using AI, I know a lot of universities do not allow you to use AI. A lot of like publishers would not allow you to publish things that were, generated by AI. So then now that I'm on YouTube, I can generate, essentially deploy, which will be an equivalent of publishing in academia. So if I was in academia, I would be publishing. I would be lucky if I'm publishing once or twice a year, and now I feel like I'm publishing on like a weekly, monthly basis. I know it's subjective, but it's my estimation of my throughput, whatever. Right. So one thing, for example, like one really interesting thing that I don't think was yet done is, for example, if you're looking at something like optical illusions. So I'm in neuroscience, and optical illusions are used a lot. So if you ask an AI to generate like a new optical illusion, which will be, a great, an absolute breakthrough, it always comes up with something that already exists. So for example, if you ask it, so this illusion, for example, is based, like when you look at the cross there, you see like a green circle there. I don't know. So with certain settings, the illusion is like increasing or decreasing, depending on your unique vision. Yeah, I think if they overlap, if it overlaps like this, for me, I can increase it by reducing the speed a bit, increasing the disk size, and so say with this many disks, when they overlap a little, I can see like the missing one. When I stare at the cross, if I focus on the cross, then I see a green circle. So if you see the green circle, so the green circle is not there. But so this is like a common, it's called the after image effect. So when something remains in your brain, essentially, so it's to do with like how your brain is processing pictures, and in this case, because of the specific colors, like the background is important. If you remove the background, if you make the background black or white, the illusion disappears. But in this case, it's like so it's the after image illusion. So if you ask AI, for example, to generate it, to make a new illusion for you, it will make it, but it will still rely on the same phenomena of how your brain perceives images. So the problem, so there will be like the real deal. What's it in chess, like in Go, when they made the Deep Blue, the move 52 or something, whatever number, that it came up with this brilliant idea or something. The equivalent of it would be if it actually comes up like essentially with a new phenomena, with an optical illusion that no one's seen before, and one that is actually relying on like a different phenomena of how your brain works. So obviously, like, there will be people at OpenAI like trying to do this, right? I'm sure. I mean, originally they started from like gaming. Interesting enough, most of like the great business ideas, whatever, Google and OpenAI and stuff, like came from, non-traditional business strategies. There was just people like playing around with things. So essentially, that's my business model at the moment. Is just essentially that I building this gazillion of these tools, and essentially, if someone can see, a way to usefulness or commercialize one of them, then tell me. Or, I mean, you can just, I mean, it's open source, so you can do it yourself. You don't necessarily need me for it, but if you are kind, tell me how to do it. Yeah, reports is always like, I mean, so on one hand, it's a great idea. On the other hand, it's been done for quite some time. So for yeah, I mean, you can generate like custom reports with AI. I don't know why like reports are still a thing, considering, you know, with AI you can just show it you know, upload the data, it will generate like a custom dashboard for you and things like that. But yes, if you're looking at it from clinical perspective, so I'm not. So the other thing, like I'm a biomedical engineer, so I'm not a clinician, so I'm not allowed to make any medical claims. And I mean, even if I was a clinician, you should not be making any claims that weren't tested. Whatever. There's a paradox there that clinical practice is essentially not science. That you know, it's opinion based. So I should be able, well, I'm a YouTuber, so I should be allowed to express my opinion and stuff. But yeah, reports I think are like overrated a bit, especially considering now that you can, you know, load your data, create your own dashboard. So essentially you can have like a custom report for every individual, the way they like it. So you can training models and stuff. I don't know, like this is a report of like results taking so essentially the other thing is like taking data and, yes, as you say, like turning it into reports, or even better, turning it into like a, you know, because reports suggest like text-based something, you know, but turning it into like a visualization where you can actually see, compare things. So more interactive like reports, and probably custom for each individual. So yeah, so with training models, like, so the problem with models is that you have, well, like the Llama. So if you have like the open source models, they don't publish everything. They have published so for example, they published the access to the model, but not the weights, or they might publish the weights but not the data that was used to train. And also, or in research papers they publish like the benchmarking, you know, the results, the performance of the model, but then they might not be publishing not the data and not the weights. So in this case, for example, we were training like EEG brainwaves. So those are about the open source, open access data set of like 600 images. Half of them have epileptic seizures, half do not. And then we train the model. So the data set is public domain. Then my results are, because you mentioned the report, so they are like reported here on this webpage. And then you also have my code at the bottom of the page that used to train the model. And then you can like essentially compare it to another research team that did the training as well. So eventually I'm thinking like fast forward that every person will have their own models. So for example, when I'm going to a doctor, whatever, I'll bring my model with me. Right, so the model could be, yeah, it has your some sort of longitudinal, for example. So the main thing I'm thinking, like, yeah, same with reports. So reports are just, in my mind, are not like good enough. They don't get like you know, the most important information. They only have like the bottom line. So what if you were like misdiagnosed with something? So they will just have the diagnosis written, but they would not have, the data will only be kept for like a year or two. Normally, then, you know, if you did like an MRI, then, you know, it's terabytes, like a terabyte worth of data. So then they generated the report, and then they keep the raw data for only like a limited period of time. So for example, if you had the model, then, you know, you could, and you ask for the raw data, then you, for example, with the new information, can go and review the raw data instead of doing another MRI, which is really expensive. You could, like, you know, talk to a new clinician, a different expert. They're telling you something and you go, oh, wait a minute, I'll go back to the raw data and, you know, re-evaluate it, but considering what that second or third expert have said. Yeah, so the quality meant to be good. I'm also, yeah, I just realized there's a couple things, like you need to, obviously motion artifact is a big problem. So you have to stay still for a while. But then also you have things like the light in the room is sensitive to the light in the room. So you have to control for that. So if and then I realized that because I have something flashing on my screen, it will also affect the monitoring, whatever. So now, yeah, so if I still, I'm not sure if I can still talk. Yeah, 63, and my smartwatch Garmin shows 62, and this thing shows 63. And I mean, the Garmin could be having an error as well, because it's also not clinical grade. It's also not super accurate. But yeah, so I've been testing it for like 6 months or so, and yeah, I think it's within like 1 to 2 beats per minute accurate. Because the other thing you need to also, testing, because I'm like engineering, so yeah, testing can be complicated. So you need to test it at the edges as well. So for example, if I, jump around and then test it again, go onto this web page, the thing is just running locally, so you can literally, get all the source code. So I don't know how technical or not you are, but it's not sending the data. So as you monitor, it's not sending your video to the cloud or whatever. It's just doing it locally in your browser. So you can check it through the network communication, but also through the code. It's doing everything, the calculation locally. So it's actually, getting the region of interest of your head and calculating extracting green light. So it's all in this code. It's currently just under 1,000 lines of code. Like, so it's open source in the sense that all the code is on the page,